What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time? You're like, dang, why do so many people watch this?
Oh, I have an instant. What is it? Alchemist?
Fullmetal.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood.
What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Most overrated?
Yeah.
Overrated.
One Piece.
Demon Slayer.
One Piece. Today, we are in the sunny streets of Philadelphia, and I have a confession to make. There's been a lot of new school animes that I frankly just think aren't that good. So, I decided to approach different anime fans throughout the city and figure out if you want to know my most overrated anime of all time, I'll be throwing that in at the end of the video. What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time? You're like, dang, why do so many people watch this?
Oh, I have an instant. What is it? Alchemist?
Fullmetal.
Fullmetal Alchemist. Brotherhood. It was so the whole story is about like this depressing storyline, like their parents get murdered, the kid gets trapped in a suit, and the whole time they're just goofing around being like goofy the whole time.
Like 8.
They're 8, but like his brother is trapped in a metal suit. Like I need some more serious, you know? Like I don't know, the goofiness with the serious
Did you finish
themes.
it?
No, I got to like 30 and then stopped.
That's pretty far in.
No, I got pretty far in. Like I gave it a try.
Yeah, that's more than a try, I would say.
But
yeah.
I just, it wasn't for me.
What's the show that Kirito's from?
Sword Art Online.
Sword Art Online. I got a lot to say about that.
All right,
show.
let's hear it. Let's hear it.
First of all, the first half of the first season was beautiful. Like I was locked in.
Yeah.
It was great. I watched it in like a day. And then you get to the second half, starts falling in love with his sister. And, that's all I really remember. It was
Yeah,
a few
no,
years ago. But the fact that people like love that show, and he's falling in love with his sister.
It is weird. It is weird.
Yeah.
And it's also like came out of left field.
His sister's falling in love with him.
Yeah, I know what
And
you're
then she
talking
finds out. I think she like finds out that it's him, and she's still like.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, whatever. No,
Yeah.
that was a very weird aspect of the show. I don't know why they chose to add that. It was very weird.
Like things were going so well. Oh yeah, and then when they were like in the original game, like they just like ended up skipping like half the game. Like I don't remember what happened. Like the guy, like the creator, like challenged them to a fight, and then Kirito beat him, and then it was just over.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is like everything was like building up to here, and then like instead of like some big thing happening, it's just like one fight and then it's over. And now I'm my sister.
What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Recently, I've probably been feeling like a Demon Slayer. Like I like Demon Slayer, but I think it gets a lot of traction when I think it's just decent.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I might face some backlash for that, but
Why do you think it's so overhyped? Like, why is it like? Because honestly, it's one of the biggest of all time.
I don't really know. Maybe the characters are like pretty lovable. You can.
For sure.
I guess there's a lot of like slice of life stuff that goes on in there. So for people who like to get connected to like characters like that, I think that would do it. But like at the same time, I don't think that the characters are necessarily that well developed as compared to some other stories. Like they're lovable, but not necessarily relatable type stuff.
I get that.
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like, from people that have never watched anime, I would probably go straight to Demon Slayer as like a first one to recommend. So I can see that. Like probably a ton of newcomers like, oh, that's a really cool show. Then you see the animation, you're like,
yeah.
So I get that. What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time? You're like, why do so many people give this show hype?
My Hero Academia. I freaking hate it. I'm sorry. I tried watching it. It was so bad. Like the plot was so like. Ew.
Okay, what about you?
I agree with her.
Really? Why do you feel that way about My Hero? Obviously, that's one of the new big three, they say.
I don't know.
The fandom's really weird.
Yes! Ew. It was so bad, especially like 2021.
Really?
That's when they did like.
Yeah, that's when they were crazy.
They were crazy.
What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Maybe like Black Clover. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
Just because I feel like it took the Naruto formula and it's like the same as Naruto, like, in my opinion. You got Asta being like the outgoing protagonist, and then what's the other guy's name? He's like Sasuke. So, I don't know. I just feel like it's a reskin.
Yeah, no, I get that. Why do you think it's so overhyped?
Because it gives people that Naruto feel, like that original Naruto feel.
That makes sense, but for the new generation, If you're enjoying the video so far, sub to the channel. What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
The most overrated?
Yeah.
Honestly, if I had to say, I would say Seven Deadly Sins.
Oh, that's a good one. I haven't heard that one.
But honestly, Seven Deadly Sins fans, like, I understand why people like it. It's just not for me. It's just kind of weird.
What made that stand out to you? Like, why did you choose that?
Honestly, because I feel like a lot of people like overrated a lot, and some of the relationships in the show are honestly like really weird.
They are weird, especially there is one relationship with a fairy and or not a fairy, but like she's a little girl and he is a grown man.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Bond.
Bond, yes, Bond. Yeah, that was weird.
Bro, Bond is like, I like Bond's like character design, but he's
kind of cringe.
Yeah, he's cringe.
What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Not saying that it's bad. I tried watching Banana Fish and I couldn't get into it.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't get into it. It was kind of boring.
Yeah.
In the beginning, and I just didn't like fully get it.
Yeah, no,
So,
that makes
not
sense.
to say it's bad because I never finished it, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I could not get into it. But if not that, then maybe like My Hero or something.
Oh.
Cause I don't know. I used to like it, and
Yeah.
then like as it went on, I was just like, this is not.
So what made it fall off for you?
Repetitiveness, and then some of the characters are just low-key annoying. Yeah.
I will say, as a big My Hero fan, I can understand and respect that. Some
Yeah.
characters, I'm like, all right, this person's cringe, or like, oh, I expected that person to do something. So
Yeah.
I definitely kind of understand that. What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Most overrated anime of all time.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
That's crazy. That's so crazy.
No, I'm kidding. You can pick whatever you want.
Lately, maybe.
Maybe. Rewatching it, I want to say Naruto.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Oh,
Over-
both
not-
of you agree on that.
Not Shippuden. Shippuden's excellent.
Okay.
I'll give Shippuden that. The beginning of Naruto, and it's the same thing with like all the other things like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, Dragon Ball.
Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, and then all the other arcs that had like continuations of like going forward.
And it's cool because I've noticed that same thing because I was thinking my girlfriend's watching Naruto right now and I was like, what really happens before Shippuden? Like,
That's what I'm saying.
it doesn't really progress that far.
What happens in Shippuden that really changes Naruto, other than Sasuke and Naruto's fight, which led into the big thing? You're like, what matters there?
Yeah, and you could get that done in 50 episodes, 100 episodes, you know what I mean? So,
And now you got like 200 plus episodes and just straight
Yeah.
forward.
what would you say is the most overrated anime of all time? You're like, why is there so much hype to this show?
I might get a lot of hate for this. One Piece. It's too long. It's
Really?
Too long.
Okay.
I don't know.
Why do you choose it?
I tried watching it. I just couldn't get into it. It's so long. It's like it feels like it's gonna take forever to catch up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that you can't jump in somewhere because then you'll miss like a bunch of stuff that they might reference from a long time ago.
Yeah.
I know it's amazing if you like watch it from the beginning, but like I just like for starting now, I can't see myself doing it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's like the biggest thing for One Piece too. Anyone that's new right now, it's like very hard to get into. So I understand. What about yourself?
I'd probably agree.
One Piece as well?
Yeah.
Why do you think so?
Just kind of the same thing. There's just so much. It's like, how do you? It's just like an insurmountable task.
Yeah,
to like
that is
sit
true.
down and like play like episode 1.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, I get that. I literally watched like the first 80 and I was like, oh, this is a good show. And I looked, I'm like, there's 900 more. I'm like, oh my gosh. It's like, I'll never finish this. I do want to try it more one day, but I get the feeling for sure. What would you say is the most overrated anime of all time?
Most overrated?
Yeah.
Overrated? One Piece.
Demon Slayer.
One Piece.
It's literally one of my favorite animes, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, the pacing. You watch an episode, they're just like panning over every character. I don't need to see everybody's reaction 2,000 times.
The One Piece anime
I
does
don't care
have
if-
terrible pacing.
Add filler instead. Why are you just panning to every little individual on screen?
Yeah,
It
we
just
have
doesn't make
whole
sense.
filler arcs for that. But
Yeah,
I get
that's
you
why-
saying
that's
One
why I
Piece
want
being
filler
overrated.
arcs.
though.
It doesn't have filler arcs. It just
One Piece has filler
doesn't stop
arcs.
getting animated.
It's got terrible filler arcs.
No, none of the arcs are technically filler because everything's manga. It's just terrible pacing.
So what about you? Why do you say Demon Slayer?
Actually, not Demon Slayer. Honestly, Naruto for me is very overrated.
Oh, hot take.
Power scaling ruined it for me as well.
Okay.
Yeah, oh, Naruto is this, and that because he did this, and the third. And it's just like, okay, you clearly didn't read this thing. Like,
I
it's
get
like
that.
so many people talk about it, and it's part of the big three, and I like it. I feel like it being part of the big three makes it people, like, not really
Look
really
at it for
view
what
it.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So my overrated anime of all time has got to be Jujutsu Kaisen. And yeah, obviously I already insinuated that, but hear me out. So when it comes to Jujutsu Kaisen, I want to first off preface this by saying I am a Jujutsu Kaisen fan. I like Jujutsu Kaisen. I've seen the whole thing. I've seen the movie, haven't read the manga, but I've watched all of it and I enjoy it. So I want to say that first. Now, what I want to question for people that are huge Jujutsu Kaisen fans, and really think about this, would you still be in love and watch the show as much as you do if they removed the animation from that show? If it wasn't arguably some of the best animation of all time, best fight scenes of all time, if you took that out of the show and didn't even make it poor, right? Because obviously poor animation can, stop people from watching a show. But if you just made it, par or even slightly below par, would you still love the show as much as you did? And as I started to realize that, it really made me kind of not admire the show as much. And seeing the amount of pure hype that the show gets when I think there are much better storylines out there, much better characters out there. And the biggest gripe I have too with Jujutsu Kaisen is that Gege has shown that he can actually do it. Like, my favorite part of Jujutsu Kaisen was the first half of the second season when they were going through Gojo's backstory. I thought that was incredible. Like, it was incredible storytelling. Fighting was mixed in. The fight scenes were awesome. You got so much character development. I got a villain that I'm like, oh, I actually care about this guy. This is a sick backstory. Like, all of these things where I'm like, this guy knows how to write a great story and build great characters. But like, when I'm watching the normal show, like after that, when the Shibuya arc happened, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on half the show. Like, there's so many fights that are just so irrelevant and they're just throwing hands just to throw hands. Like, there loses so much plot. And I was like, this is great. I hope it got me so excited for the rest of the second season. Then it started, I'm like, all right, we're just fighting. Like, there's nothing happening right now. We're just fighting to fight. It lost so much for me. Same thing with the movie. The movie was awesome. Yuta, great character story, great development in the character. Super hyped to see him in the next season if he's coming. Like, all of that was awesome. So I think that the potential is there for Jujutsu Kaisen. And I think it's a great show, but if you take out the animation and focus on the characters, I don't really think they have. Obviously, Gojo's cool, but other than that, Yuji, not that really great of a main character. And the other two side characters, like, it pissed me off when they acted out of nowhere like they were just best friends. I was like, you guys don't even have any, like, development together. Yuji was gone for a few months when he apparently, might have died and stuff, and I'm like, how are they acting like they're best friends? This doesn't even make sense. Like, the relationships don't even make sense. Like, there's so much plot holes in the show. I'm like, how is this the first or second most popular anime in the world right now? And then I see the animation, I'm like, my eyes are on drugs. These fight scenes are awesome. So, like, I get it, but I do think that there's much better shows out there, much better characters, and I do think it is really, really overrated. So, that's my take.